Awesome. All right. Thank you, Allie. So, oops, I think we're getting a little feedback there. Okay. So, thank you for that introduction and welcome to those of you who are new to my class. Welcome back to those of you joining in again. My name is Allie. I am a doctor of physical therapy as well as a nationally certified Pilates instructor. I've practiced here in Boston over the last 5 years. I own my own practice here and teach with the Community Online Academy every Thursday and have since March, since this program started. What we have today is stretch and strength for spine health using the foam roller. So what that means is we have 30 minutes. We're going to try and move through that whole 30 minutes with some stretching and some strengthening, all to benefit the health of your spine. But really, if our spine is healthy, it helps to benefit all of our extremities as well. So this class is appropriate for all different levels of people. That being said, it is challenging, but I offer a lot of modifications to take if you feel like you need that. So please listen to your body. Please take the option that feels right for you today, which might be different even than how you felt yesterday and how you feel tomorrow. And that way you'll get the most out of today's workout. I will save 1 or 2 minutes at the end for questions. So if something comes up, you can write it to me in the chat. I'm not going to read it during class, but I will read it right after and make sure to give you guys the best answer I can. So we're going to get started today lying on our rollers. So this is where if you have a shorter roller, you're going to need to modify just a little bit, and then you will be fine for the rest of class, and I'll show that modification. So you're going to turn your roller so that it is lengthwise along your mat, and then you're going to lie down so your whole spine is on the roller. So I find the easiest way to just sit on the end of the roller and then slowly lay your spine down. If you have a shorter roller, try and get your head and at least your shoulders onto the roller. From that point, you'll just need to hold your hips up, or you can even place a pillow or something underneath your hips. Once you're in this position, we're just going to take a moment or two to get settled. So I'd like you to walk your feet a little bit wider than hip distance and allow your knees to fall together and open up your arms out to the side. And you want to open your arms just to the point where you feel a light stretch across your chest, but not pain or pulling. So if you don't feel a stretch with your hands in the position that they're in right now, you can walk them up a little bit higher until you feel a stretch. So this is a nice setup here to, one, open up our chest and kind of get our spine aligned in that most neutral position. So the roller, having the roller behind us, helps to give us feedback about where all of our bony alignment should be. So what you want to feel on the roller now is your tailbone and sacrum. You want to feel your shoulder blades and most of your rib cage, and then the bony part of the back of your skull. So what you can work to do in this setup is to take the front of the ribs, pressing them down to close the space behind your rib cage. That does not mean you need to close the space behind your low back. It's actually okay to have that space behind your low back, but you want to make sure the space behind your rib cage is as small as possible. And that should also help you to open up across the front of the chest, feeling a deeper stretch here. So we'll just take a couple of breaths, getting warmed up in this position, letting our body get adjusted to this setup, which can feel a little bit funny, especially if we've spent most of our day sitting. We'll take our inhale breath in through the nose and an exhale breath out through the mouth. Try that once again, an inhale breath in through the nose, opening up, feeling your whole trunk fill with air. And with your exhale breath, letting go of all of that air, even a little bit of extra air hanging at the bottom of our lungs. We'll try 2 more just like this. And gently letting that air go, adding a slight tuck to your chin to lengthen the back of your neck. And once more here, big breath in and gently let it go. Now you have the option, if this feels good and you want to hang out in this stretch a little while longer, feel free to stay here. Otherwise, we're going to start to build in a little bit of strengthening. So you're going to take your fingertips down just to the floor next to your hips, and notice it's just my fingertips. I like to think of them making little tents next to my hips. And then I'm going to walk my feet a little bit closer towards one another. From here, I just want to get my balance. So notice if you're leaning more to one side than the other, we're going to start to gently march your feet up one at a time. And I want as best you can to be nice and still on the roller. So your hips are steady and your shoulders are steady. Now, this is looking at the stability of our spine when we're doing something like walking or running, where our legs are doing alternating movements. If this is feeling easy, or you've taken my class before, you've done this one, and you'd like to try a progression, the next time you lift your left leg up, hold it there and lift your left arm up as well. This can be tricky, so it's same arm, same leg. See if you can hold this, and if you'd like, you can extend same arm, same leg away and draw it back in. Same arm, same leg away and pull it back in. So you're using the pressure down into your right foot on the floor to help stabilize, and you're keeping your rib cage on the mat so that your core stays active. 2 more, just like this. Good. 1 more time, and then place left foot, left hand down. Bring your right leg, right hand up. Try and stabilize yourself here on the roller, and if you would like, you can try reaching opposite arm, opposite leg. Now, if this is feeling really wobbly, or you are getting any sort of back pain or anything with this, come back to those more basic marches here. But I like this option as a progression because it can be quite revealing as to which side is maybe a little bit tricky or less stable. Good. 2 more here. That's it, guys. Once more like that. Good. And then place both feet down. We're going to come off the roller, so gently roll off to the side and press yourself on up to a seat. We're now going to turn the roller to its perpendicular direction, and this is where you can hop right back in with the shorter roller. It should work just fine in this setup. We're going to foam roll our upper back neck. So I'll turn to sit on my bottom. Feet are firmly planted down onto the floor, and we're going to bring the roller right below your shoulder blades. So I like to just hold the roller with my hands, lower just below my shoulder blades, and then if you have a hood or longer hair, you're going to get that out of the way so it doesn't get tangled in the roller. Bring your feet in nice and close and hold your head in your hands. Bring your elbows into your peripheral vision, and we're going to pick the bottom up and start to roll from the base of our neck down to just below our shoulder blades. Okay, so we're not rolling into the lower back, we're not rolling on our neck, but you can roll right to the base of your neck and just below the shoulder blades along the length of your ribs. And you may feel some cracking or popping here, and that's okay. It's actually a good thing, telling you that you're getting some movement in the joints themselves. So as we roll back and forth here, we're just starting to loosen up the muscles that surround our spine, as well as the muscles that fall between our shoulder blades. We're also mobilizing our thoracic spine and our rib cage. Our thoracic spine is our mid and upper back. Good. And so we work here because this is often an area of stiffness for people. Even if you have lower back pain, sometimes the stiffness is a little bit higher in your spine up here in the thoracic spine. So by loosening this up, we take pressure off of other areas of our spine, whether it's our neck or our lower back. Good. Now we'll add some dimensions in here. So if you find a particular spot that's tight, I'd like you to pause on that zone, place your bottom down, keep your rib cage down closer to your hips, and drop your spine over the shape of the roller. So ribs are drawing down, your chest is dropping over the roller. By creating that pull of the ribs down and the chest over, we should get a nice opening through the front of our ribs, as well as a mobilization of our spine into extension. We'll pick another spot here. Extension is the opposite of flexion. Extension is leaning backwards, and in sitting, we spend most of our time being flexed, bent forward. We'll find another spot, place our bottom down, and try that same thing, dropping back over the roller, and then gently coming back on up. Let your breath be comfortable and be natural here. Again, we are mobilizing through our upper back, which attaches to our rib cage. So you can get better stretch by just letting yourself breathe deeply here. Now I'm going to show you guys something for a moment. Keep rolling. We're going to add in 2 pieces to our rolling. We're going to add side bending, which is bringing one elbow towards the hip. We're also going to add rotation, which is turning one elbow up to the ceiling and the other elbow down. So we're going to do that on the roller, but I think sometimes it's helpful to see that movement first. So with my spine on the roller, I'll tip my right elbow towards my right hip, and that opens the left side of my spine, and I'll just continue rolling here. I can do the same thing by taking my left elbow to my left hip to open up the right side of my spine. And different people are going to need this stretch in different areas. So find what works for your body. This is where you customize this workout to what's feeling good for your body today. So you can do those two side bending movements. You can also rotate. So that's turning one elbow up to the ceiling, the other elbow down towards the floor. And that's going to get into our side body a little bit more, as well as our lat muscle. And our lat muscle is a shoulder muscle that does come all the way down and attach towards our lower back. So that can also be a common spot of tightness. We're going to exercise the lats in just a moment with a little strengthening exercise here as well. So maybe you need to come back to the center. You can spend more time to one side or the other, but just notice where your body needs a little bit of attention and work in that zone. This type of rolling, this upper back rolling, can be done daily. It can be done a couple times a day. This is one, there are types of rolling where you need a little bit of recovery time. This is not one of them because we're focusing more on the joints of the spine itself. We'll spend just another moment here. Good. And then we're going to settle with the roller just underneath our shoulder blades, still holding our head in our hands, knees are bent. We're going to take this into a little bit of core work here today. So keeping your tailbone resting down on the mat, you're going to slowly drop back as though you're going to lean over the roller like we practiced before, and exhale to curl up, lifting your shoulders off the roller. So we're doing like a micro crunch, but we're not actually crunching super far forward. We're just kind of lifting our spine up into that long straight line. What I want you to think about is where the roller hits your rib cage. I want you to press your ribs into the roller as though it feels like the roller might roll out from underneath you. You're using that pressure of the ribs into the roller itself to keep it nice and still. We'll try 3 more like this. Inhale when you drop back. Exhale, press into the roller. Inhale, drop back. Exhale, press into the roller. Good, guys. Once more here. Inhale, drop back. Exhale, press into the roller and hold. Now hold that pressure without changing the pressure under your back. Start to march your legs off the floor one at a time, pulling the knee in towards your chest, placing it back down. Knee in towards the chest and back down. You want to move slowly here. So like I said, the pressure under your back doesn't change as you march. Good. Continue here. Head is heavy in the hands. We've got it. Let's try 3 more. 2 more. Last time. Now you can do a second set of those little marches, or if you feel strong here, pick both legs to tabletop. Keep pressing the back ribs in. If you lifted your legs to tabletop and the roller has moved, bring your feet back down, reset, or continue with those marches. If you're in tabletop, you can try one leg in towards your chest, the other leg reaching out. So single leg stretch. You can modify by pushing up a little higher towards the ceiling, or challenge by pressing down lower towards the floor, but only go as far as you can without letting your back leave the roller. So keep pushing the ribs into the roller. 4 more. 3, 2. Last time here, place both feet down and take one last stretch over the roller, letting your ribs release up to the ceiling this time, if that feels comfortable. Good. Okay, so we just did a bunch of work on extension, leaning backwards. We're gonna work now to build in some strength to help reinforce that new range of motion that we have. So if we can get range of motion and then build strength in that posture, it's more likely to last a little bit longer. So what that'll look like, we're gonna keep the roller where it is right now and lie down onto our stomachs. Now, if you have shoulder sensitivities, you want to keep the roller a little bit closer to you so that you can keep your elbows bent when your hands are on the roller. If you do not have any shoulder sensitivity, roll the roller away so that your elbows are straight with your hands on the roller. tops of the feet should be on the floor and hips are resting down. Now in this exercise, we're gonna do a couple with both hands down, but then there will be an option to try a single arm. So with this setup, to start, both hands are down about shoulder width distance apart. Before we lift our spine, I want you guys to press your hands down into the roller, like you're smushing the roller into the floor. Use that push down to pull the roller towards you, lifting up the spine, and then gently melting and lowering back down. If you're starting with bent elbows, same thing, push down, press up and lift, keeping that soft bend of the elbow, and gently lower back down. Regardless of shoulder setup, make sure your shoulders are as far away from your ears as possible by continuing to push down into that roller, even as it gets closer towards you. Good. Now we're gonna try just one more with the double arms like this before we build in that optional single arm variation. So if this feels really tricky, I want you to stay here. If you're trying single arm, you're gonna take your left hand on top, right hand stacks on top of your left. So it's kind of like your hands are moving as one unit. We're gonna pull in and lift and gently lower back down. Now there's one more add-on here, trying this single arm work. So as you pull up and lift, you're gonna release that right hand back behind you, follow it with your eyes, bring it down and lower yourself back down. You can do that with bent arms here as well. Press up, reach that right hand back behind you, follow it, come back down, stuck on top, and we lower. Make this within the comfortable range of motion for your body. I have a very flexible spine here. This might look like a big movement, but it does not need to be effective. So drop shoulders down away from the ears, twist, look back, gently tap back down and lower. We'll do one more on this side. Pull that roller back, push down into the hand, open on up, come right back down and softly lower. Good. We're gonna flip our hands. If you are doing that double arm variation, you can take a moment's rest and then join back in with double arms. So right hand on the mat, on the roller, left hand on top, push down into both hands, draw both shoulders away from your ears, push down into the roller to lift and gently lower back down. We'll add that opposite arm reach here, this time with the left hand. So push down, open up that left arm, follow it back, sweep up and over, and gently melt all the way back down. Pull the roller towards you, reach that left hand back, come up and over, and lower it down at the same time, noticing that the right shoulder down on the roller stays away from your ears as you do your twist. You can also work with that bent elbow to start, keeping your bottom elbow bent if that is more comfortable for your shoulder. We'll do two more on this side. That's it, guys. Lower back down once more here. And lower all the way down. This time, we're gonna push ourselves back into a child's pose. You have the option of keeping your hands on the roller to do your child's pose, or you can leave the roller and just walk your hands onto the mat, maybe even letting your forehead rest down onto the mat if that feels good for your body. Take a deep breath in here and a deep breath out, letting go of all that air. We'll carefully come on up, shake it out. I know that's a lot of shoulder work, a lot of upper back work. We're gonna try one more exercise here, which is a core exercise, but requires a lot of shoulder stability to let our core work. So what that looks like is taking the roller, we're gonna set up in an all fours position with our hands on the roller. Okay, so knees are underneath your hips, hands are roughly underneath your shoulders. Now, if you have a lot of wrist sensitivity, shift backwards just a tiny bit so that the roller, your wrist is not quite as bent here as being right on top of your wrist, okay? So slightly less wrist extension. Drop the shoulders away from your ears, grow long through the top of your head. Now purposely let your ribs sag here. And then think of drawing your ribs up away from the floor. Try once again, letting your ribs sag and then lifting them up away from the floor. Once you have that lifted position, tuck your toes under. So like you're preparing for a plank. We're gonna lift our knees off the mat, but just a centimeter, teeny tiny, like I can barely see that movement. So push down into the hands, push into your toes, exhale, lift, find that little teeny tiny hover, and then gently place the legs back down. Inhale, use your breath here. Exhale, lift the knees on up and gently place it back down. Notice if your head starts to sag, keep your head lifted, shoulders down away from the ears. Exhale, lift the knees up into a little hover. Gently place it back down. Inhale, 2 more. Exhale, lift the knees into a tiny hover. Lower back down. We have 1 more time with an optional hold here, shoulders down away from the ears. Inhale and exhale, lift up and hold. Press into your feet. Keep the knees hovering. Keep your ribs lifted up away from the floor. We hold for 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Come all the way back down and shake it out. Awesome work there, guys. So we're gonna give our hands and our shoulders a little break. We're gonna get into some glute work next. So keeping your roller in this perpendicular direction, we're gonna sit on top of the roller to foam roll our glutes. So find a comfortable seated position, or as comfortable as it can be. We're gonna try and roll one side and then the other. I'll start with my left side if you'd like to follow along. So my left hand is gonna go down onto the floor behind me. I'm gonna turn and twist my body to the left, and then gently start to roll across the muscle of our glutes. Your glutes are the muscle that take up sort of the whole back of the hip. It's actually made up of a bunch of small muscles. And so different people are gonna be tight in different zones. So I want you to just notice that. You can roll with your chest facing up towards the ceiling, or you can roll being twisted a little bit more to the side. Just be cautious that there is a big bone on the side of your hip, and it doesn't feel good to roll over bone. So you wanna stay on the muscle itself, and that's how you'll get the most benefit out of this type of rolling. Now in this rolling, we are rolling soft tissue, our muscles. And our muscles, they actually, you get tiny bits of micro damage from rolling. And that's actually the point of this, is to bring a very, very gentle, low level inflammatory response to the muscle to help with healing and to help break up the tissue that might be tight there. That being said, you do need a little bit of recovery time. So this type of rolling over muscle, you want to do 2 or 3 days a week. You don't need to do this every single day. But what we're going to do in just a moment after we roll out this area is do a little bit of strengthening for the glutes. So that should help to reinforce this soft tissue mobility. And so hopefully this lasts for a couple of days for you before you feel like you need to do this again. You can add a little more body weight here by crossing your right ankle on top of your left. And that's optional just if you feel like you want more pressure through that side. We'll spend just another moment here before we switch over to our right side. And what I recommend is usually about a minute or 2 per side. So we'll go ahead and take that to the right side. So I'm going to place my right hand down, turn my body to the right. So I am on the meaty part of the muscle on the right side, and seeing things start to foam roll back and forth. Again, you can be facing more up to the ceiling to get the more central part of your glute, or turn to rotate so you are a little bit more to the side on the lateral part of the muscles. To give you guys some perspective, the more central part of our glute, the one when you're facing up towards the ceiling, is what helps to extend our hips, so reach the hip behind us. The ones on the side are what helps to balance our pelvis, doing sideways type movements. So different people are going to be tight in different areas, but hopefully that gives you a little idea of what these muscles are doing, and maybe even why they might be more tight than the other. You can add that optional left ankle on top to give a little bit more body weight through that right side. If that feels too intense, back off. You can keep both feet down. This should feel intense, but not excruciating or painful. If it is excruciating or painful, sometimes our muscles tighten up in response to that pain and they'll start to guard. And it doesn't give you as good of a result as if you are able to relax a little bit into this posture. Good. Again, just be cautious about that big bone on the side of your hip. Stay on the muscle instead of rolling over the bone itself. And you will know because it's very uncomfortable to roll right on top of bone. Try 2 more. And 1 more time here. Good. And then you can go ahead and take the roller out from underneath your bottom. Now I'll answer this question now because I get this a lot in this class especially. And it's a question about foam rolling the IT bands. Personally, I do not recommend foam rolling the IT bands for a couple reasons. One is that it is very bony, so it's uncomfortable for most people. We don't have muscle bulk on the side of our legs in the same way. But second, the IT band itself is mostly ligamentous, and we cannot change the length of ligaments with a foam roller. We can change muscle, and so there is muscle at the top of our hip that attaches to the IT band. So by doing that foam rolling we just did for the glutes, you are having a positive influence on the IT band. That should really be all you need for symptoms on the side of the leg. You may need to spend a little bit more time on those side glute muscles, but that should do the trick for any IT band type symptoms. We're gonna now get into a little bit of glute strengthening to reinforce that mobility. So go ahead and lie down onto your back. And we're gonna place the arches of your feet right on top of the roller. So you can kind of let your feet drape over the roller, and you wanna make sure the roller is fairly close so you can tap it with your fingertips. If it's not, scoot it in a little bit closer. You're gonna first, before you even lift your hips, push your feet down into the roller. So I know you guys cannot see any movement right here, but I am activating the back of my legs by just pushing down into the roller. In fact, it feels like quite a bit of work just to press my feet down. Try and bring your knees a little bit closer together. Draw your ribs down onto the mat, arms down by your side. Now keeping that pressure down into your feet, can you lift your hips up to the ceiling? Keep pushing down into your feet even when you lower your hips back down. If you're getting a cramp here, try imagining like there's a ball in between your knees that you're hugging in on as you lift up, and continue to hug in on that ball as you drop your hips back down. Sometimes we get cramps here as a sign of weakness, that we're asking the muscle to do too much, in which case you can drop your feet off of the roller and do the same bridging motion down on the floor. You should feel the work here in your glutes, in your butt muscles. If you're not sure, bring your hands to your butt muscles. We just foam rolled those muscles, so they should be relatively awake, and our brain connection to those muscles should be present. So see if you can find the work in your glutes, continuing to push down into the floor, and that pressure down should help the glutes to be active here. We'll try 4 more like this. That's it, guys. Last 3, lift up, drop back down, good. 2 more. Excellent. You have 1 more time just like this. And drop your hips back down, good. You can roll to the side and press yourself on up. Awesome. So we're gonna do 1 more exercise here. This one is quick. This is a nice combination exercise. It is a plank plus foam rolling for our quads, the muscles right on the front of our thighs. So what that looks like, we're gonna kneel on the behind your roller, and we're gonna end up putting the meaty part of our thighs onto the roller. So not our knees, not our hip bones, the muscle in between those 2 spots, and lower down onto our forearms. I'm keeping my toes down for the time being. I will give you that option to lift your toes up if you would like. So here, once again, draw your ribs up away from the floor, shoulders down away from the ears, neck is long, just like you might do a regular plank. We're just gonna simply walk our elbows forward and backward to roll along the length of the quad muscle. If this is feeling easy, you can point your toes, taking away the support from your feet. And we're simply rolling back and forth, nothing fancy here. We're just gonna spend a minute doing this one today, getting a little bit of core work in, a little bit of shoulder work in to hold ourselves in this position. And at the same time, getting that nice soft tissue foam rolling for the muscles on the front of our thighs, which are our quads. And these are ones that tend to be overused in many people for different reasons. Good. We'll do a few more just like this, rolling back and forth, knowing that your quad muscle has 4 small muscles that make up the one big quad. So you can roll a little bit to the outside or a little bit to the inside of your leg. That's it, guys. We're just going to do another 2 or 3 rolls here. And then gently lower your legs down, press yourself up and back, and take a breath. Awesome work. So that is our movement-based part of class. I know we're right at the end of our time, but I'm happy to stick around a little bit to answer any questions you guys have.